Hello, everybody. I apologize for the video getting cut off earlier. I have so much to say still. Okay. The topic that we were discussing about uh, David E. Taylor, kind of left off as far as how he tends to grind the man down and sleep with the man's wife, causing the family to break up through adulterous relationships and what have you. And just between now and an hour or so ago, I was sitting back and I was thinking on, I believe it was in 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 15, where the king sent Uriah out on the front lines to go to war. And he said, set Uriah out there, on the front line to fight with the fiercest of men. And then in the heat of the battle, I want y'all to pull back and leave him out there so he can die. That's how David Taylor operates. And I'm just going to simultaneously say one thing, but it takes care of three different people that he did the same exact thing to. Okay? He sent a man out of town to do ministry business for Resurrection Media Ministries, which was his ministry or cult or organization here in St. Louis. And when he sent that man out, he went over to his wife's house. Now, mind you, that family lived in a ministry house of another church, okay, that David would always preach at and teach and whatnot, okay? And he goes over to this woman's house while he sent his lieutenant, David Taylor sends his lieutenant out of town. And he sleeps with this man's wife for the first time. Now, I'm told that this relationship went on, for a couple of years, but I can't remember because it's been so many different women, but I know for a fact it at least lasted a year. So he's sleeping with this woman, this man's wife, okay? And, over a period of time, them sleeping together, whatever, and there's one particular night I'm told that he was pillow talking with her. And he asked her, is your sister so-and-so, is your husband penis bigger than mine? And she said, yeah, Apostle, my husband's penis is a lot larger than yours. And she said that David was so upset by that and developed a vendetta against her husband because his penis was bigger than Apostle David Taylor's. I can't make this up. And from that day forward, he treated that man so horrible. He dogged him out. He talked about him. He would poke on him. Did everything he could to belittle this man. And by him sleeping with her, he put her in a leadership position. And this man was already ordained, but he had to follow the orders of his wife. I can't make this stuff up. I cannot make this stuff up. And the same brother, when David would be in Shadowway, praying and fasting, as he say, he used to do it every Thursday or Tuesday for a couple of days every week. But he wasn't in there praying and fasting, not all the time. Because he made the same man that I'm telling you about. He would tell him to go to this video store down the street from the ministry office. If you do it on Google Maps. I can't remember the name of the store, but that's neither here nor there. But he would make him go to the video store, and he would be on the phone with David. And David would be telling him, I want you to get Debbie Deep Throat, and this person does the whole football team. Tell him all these different pornographic movies that he wanted him to buy. And he said that he would be buying like $200 and $300 worth of pornography to take back to David in a church, to a church house that was letting him use that house to shut away in. Okay, and that church was in I think that's St. Charles Rock Road here in St. Louis, in Wellston, Missouri. Okay, I can't make this stuff up. David slept with a woman in his cult, Resurrection Media Ministries. I think she was in her 60s. And I can remember, like, at the time that this was happening, I remember coming to the office one time, and we were, in this back office, and we were making a bunch of cassette tapes at the time. And, we had a tape duplication machine, and he was going back and forth with this woman. She was a mother in the ministry, and he was like, yeah, you old, and all this sexual, it was just flat out dirty, filthy, sexual talk. And everybody was laughing, and I'm thinking to myself, y'all can't be serious, And I'm thinking to myself, it's something else going on deeper than this. But again, you don't want to think that about David Taylor. So, you just dismiss it as, he having fun. But in your heart of hearts, God's speaking to you saying, this is not this. I knew it wasn't godly, but I didn't know that, he slept with her. And a pastor asked him, he said, now I can understand maybe you sleeping with this person, but why did you sleep with that old lady? And David said, I was just curious to see what it felt like to sleep with an older woman. I don't even think he was even 30 years old. If he was either in his late, I think this was right around 2003, 2004 when this happened. I can't make this stuff up. Okay. The same story about him sending men to the battlefield, that's an MO. That's kind of, that's standard. Okay. And let me reiterate this one story. Okay. There was a wealthy man in the ministry who loved God first and foremost. And again, he was wealthy. Him and his wife came to the ministry. She was from another country. She loved the Lord. Okay. They had 2 kids and they were very stable. And when I say this guy was wealthy, he is wealthy, and he was stable, and he was solid as a man, very business minded. And he just oozed love. He was open handed to David, open armed, to the people in the ministry and church. This brother was my brother, and David solicited his wife for sex, and eventually she gave in because there was so much pressure. And I don't know how long that relationship went on, but I know it lasted for some time. I can tell you that now. And, I'm told, that she didn't want to do it. And after a certain point of time, like I say, some of these women fell in love with David. That's what I get out of it. Okay. And he promised her a position in the ministry, which he gave her. And like I say, she wasn't no biblical scholar. And that was just really evident, and then he put her above her husband. Now, by him having money, David would rebuke him a little bit, but it was more so for show, to try to just say, yeah, it's kind of even, but he wouldn't go too far because that guy was a money maker, and he sold, when the ministry really, really needed money or what have you. So she sleeping with him and whatnot, and I'll get to that. But there's a story where after a crusade, everybody's packing up. David, he leaves, and he leaves with her, and she goes they go out to a place in St. Louis, Missouri, where black people just don't go. It's just, last time I went out there, I got pulled over and got a ticket. It's just not a place for black people to hang out. It's just not. It is what it is. But to even go back, so hold that thought. This wealthy guy, her husband, David would always be in a crusade, and he would always talk about, he had a dream that a millionaire was going to give him a white and gold Mercedes Benz and blah, blah, blah. And he would say this over and over and over and over again. And I believe that the brother just caved in because he just heard it so much. So he ended up buying the white and gold Mercedes Benz, but he kept it in his name. So after this crusade, they take that Mercedes Benz, and David, he would brag about this car. Oh, the Lord blessed me with this car, and a millionaire gave me this car, and every sermon, every service, it was ridiculous. But they go out in Arnold, they in this car, and they start having sex in the car. And they in there just pumping and a sweating, bugger naked. And the police pulls up. Now, he taps on the window. What are you guys doing in here? They both naked, so they, adjusting themselves and whatnot. And like, who are you, sir? Oh, my name is David Taylor, and this, blah, 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 and I'm a pastor, and this. Who are you, ma'am? I'm so-and-so, so-and-so. Or apparently I know what y'all doing out here, but let me see some license and registration. Whose car is this? Oh, well, I'm a pastor, and the Lord blessed me with this car, and, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Okay, so let me get this straight, says the officer. You just coming from a church service. Yes, sir. Yeah, I just came from a church service. And her husband is at the church service packing up at a hotel that y'all just had. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And his name is on the title to this car. Yes, sir. But you're out here sleeping with his wife. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The officer said, if y'all don't get out of here, get your clothes on in 2 minutes, I'm locking both of y'all up. And that was the first time she said that they should have been caught and exposed. But how they got exposed is this. David had about 2 families, I believe it was. I know people used to live over there because they had a pretty nice sized house. But David used to go over there all the time, sleeping with this woman. He also, would call all of these different women or whatever. He called her one night real late, and they having phone sex, and it just so happened her husband picks up the phone. Okay. And he listening to them. So what he did was hire a private investigator. Now, mind you, everybody in the ministry have dreams. Okay. So everybody started having all of these dreams about him, or people spying on the ministry in black suits and this, that, and the other. So David overdid it and like, yeah, there's going to be an attack on the ministry and this, that, and the other, when all it was he was sinning. The husband finds out that he's sleeping with his wife, and he hired a private investigator. So when he take his wife to court, it's a clean break, and he gets what he wants out of being, having a dissolved marriage. Okay. I cannot make any of this stuff up. He has a baby out of wedlock. God told me, well, can you prove any of this? Of course I can prove any of this. Real simply, just ask David for yourself. It's real simple. But like I say, I will have people come on to, testify with me as to what was going on in that cult. The marriages that he broke up, these women won't go to church. The husbands won't go back to church. The kids are all over the place, don't want to hear anything about Jesus at the expense of what David did. Now, the Bible says Jesus is a God of life. He's living water. Everything about him is bright and it flourishes. And it's united. But once David get his hands on your wife, divorce is inevitable. The word divorce, divorce, it's two words. First part of the word is die, which means it means two. Okay, like divide. The second part of the word is force, which means force. So when something is divorced or a marriage is divorced, that means that the force is divided. And that's what David is known for, dividing marriages, causing divorces. Some people, they marriage, they didn't get the divorce. And they just figured out how to make it work, thanks be to God. But a lot of people, their marriage did not work. Not only did their marriage not work, but they don't want to hear anything about the cause of Christ. It's too painful. I can remember one young lady that was from another country. I can remember when David slept with her. She never wore makeup. She was a very beautiful girl. And once he started sleeping with her, one day she come to the ministry office and she had makeup on, and it was just so far out of character. And I'm thinking to myself, something going on here. But that's what it was. He broke that marriage up. And I don't know her present circumstance, but I know that her husband didn't want to hear anything about church. So you can miss me with that book, because I wrote in my book about sin. Okay? Sin is the absence of truth. Let me say that one more time. Sin is the absence of truth. God can't stand in the presence of sin because he's a holy God. So you can tell me about a book. You can tell me about people being raised from the dead. All that stuff. Okay? But you're still going to have to deal with the 60 women that he slept with. And that was back then. And my thing is, how in the world do you find time to sleep with 60 women? Like mathematically, if you just give him the benefit of the doubt, it's what, 52 weeks in a year? So that means just the benefit of the doubt. You slept with more women than there are weeks in a year. And you telling people you praying and fasting. So basically, if you think about it like Jesus, if you stretch that out even longer, that means, 60 women, there's 12 months to a year. If you slept with one woman a month, 1 year is 12 women. 2 years is 24 women. 3 years, 36 women. 4 years, 48 women. 5 years, 60 women. That means a man is not even repented. Okay? But all of these women was in one little small dispensation, and he hasn't stopped. See, I know about 13 women myself. I knew there was more. I didn't know it was that bad. Just found out this week it was another woman. And then I talked to another pastor, and he said, Larry, it's 60. 60 people, women came forward. How do you find time to sleep with that many women? You sleazy. You have to be really, really sleazy to do that. And again, David, you know my number. You can get in contact with me. I'm 2,000% sure. Listen, people, eyes are the windows to the soul. I am 2,000% sure that David Taylor did what he did and did everything that I am not even accusing him of. That word, simple truth is just coming out of my mouth. This is his MO. And the sad part about it is the women know what's going on and the men don't. The women has been promised position. The women has been promised sleep. He give them a dress or two. Give them extra little perks, take them on walks and take them to the movie theaters and all of this different stuff, get to ride in his car or whatever. But he keeps the men blind. He keeps the men hungry, sleep deprived, overworked. He belittles the men, snatches the men up, poke the men in the head in front of the church, in front of their wife. And like I say, the Bible says what God gave me this morning when I first woke up. He said that the wife or the woman is the weaker vessel. That means that the wife, by her being the weaker, that means that God is comparing her to someone who is weak, which is the man. Both of them weak. The woman is weaker, and that's how David conquers. He starts with the woman, and he works his way with the man, and he molests the man's mind. He stomps on his spirit, and he smothers him and foils him in darkness. David, repent.